So next up, we are going to talk about the question from Peterson B from Instagram. Are you barrel aging? If so, what? Yeah, we do have a line of beers in bourbon barrels. What I would like to talk about with that is we do have some in some larger style, traditional bourbon barrels, but we also have been working with smaller 15-gallon ones. I think it's really nice. What I've done is I've taken some beers, some big strong beers that we've had hanging around in half barrels, and I will blow a little bit of beer out of them to create a little bit more headspace in the keg. And then I'll continuously, over the course of several days, blow the CO2 pressure out of that keg. I'll leave that keg at ambient temperature so that gas wants to come out of solution. And I'll essentially flatten that beer. And then I've been pushing it into those small barrels. And the cool thing is you can turn around a pretty firmly barrel-aged beer in a pretty short period of time. I think really 2 months, 8 weeks, 9 weeks, I think you can get a pretty robust barrel character out of it, especially the little bourbon barrels we got were pretty darn wet, man. They had a fair amount of bourbon in them. And the surface area is so much different. And so you get that flavor extraction into the beer so much more quickly. I will say this. If you are taking a really big beer and putting it into a barrel for a year, there's a couple of things going on there. If you have a really big aggressive beer, sometimes that beer itself needs to mellow, okay, as long as take up the character from the barrel. So if you want to be using those smaller barrels that you can't actually leave the beer in that long, what I would potentially do is a situation like we've talked about of actually age it out a little bit first and let that beer mellow a little bit first, and then put it into your barrel just to treat that barrel as an ingredient to pull out those barrel characteristics. Because if you're using that aging time in the barrel to also mellow the beer, maybe do that in a separate sealed vessel, right? Something that you're not going to have oxygen ingress with and things like that. We're using those smaller barrels because we don't have a ton of space and they're easy to work with and they're easy to fit places. And right now, I pulled those out of barrels. They're in half barrels, just waiting for various blending projects that we're going to do with them in the future. So I actually have a range of beers, and then we're going to do some blending and build specific beers with that.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. If you feel as if you got any value out of the video, please like and subscribe. There are also other videos that you can watch. They're going to maybe be over here or over here. Appreciate you watching.